What happens when hundreds of people vanish in mere seconds? Not in a war, not from a natural disaster, but from the clear blue sky. What happens when hundreds of people vanish in mere seconds? Not in a war, not from a natural disaster, but from the clear blue sky. Aviation is a marvel of modern engineering, connecting our world in ways once thought impossible. Yet, its history is marked by moments of profound tragedy, catastrophes that, while devastating, have taught us invaluable lessons. Today, we look back at the 5 deadliest airplane crashes in history, not to sensationalize, but to understand and to honor the lives lost, and to recognize the safety innovations born from these dark moments. Our journey begins in 1974 with Turkish Airlines Flight 981. On March 3rd, the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 took off from Paris, bound for London. It was a routine flight, carrying 346 people. But just minutes after departure, disaster struck. Over the forest of Amenville, the aircraft's rear cargo door suddenly blew out. This wasn't just a simple malfunction, it was a catastrophic failure. The explosive decompression caused the cabin floor to collapse, severing the flight control cables that ran beneath it. The pilots lost all ability to steer the plane. The aircraft pitched down sharply and disintegrated upon impact. Investigators quickly identified a fatal design flaw in the cargo door's locking mechanism. This tragedy exposed a known, but unaddressed, vulnerability. In the aftermath, a massive redesign was mandated for all DC-10s, and new global standards were introduced to ensure cargo doors could withstand immense pressure differences, a change that has saved countless lives since. Next, we travel to 1996, to the skies above Charki Dodri, a village near New Delhi, India. On November 12, 2 massive aircraft were on a collision course. Saudi Flight 763, a Boeing 747, had just taken off from Delhi, climbing to its assigned altitude. Simultaneously, Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907, an Ilyushin IL-76, was descending to land. Air traffic control instructed the Kazakh crew to descend to 15,000 feet, but they continued their descent, going down to 14,000 feet, the exact altitude of the approaching 747. The crews likely never saw each other until it was too late. The resulting mid-air collision was catastrophic. Both planes were destroyed, and all 349 people on board both flights perished. The investigation revealed a critical breakdown in communication. The Kazakh pilots had limited English proficiency and struggled to understand the air traffic controller's instructions. This disaster became a powerful catalyst for change. The International Civil Aviation Organization strengthened its push for English to become the universal language of aviation. Furthermore, it accelerated the mandatory implementation of traffic collision avoidance systems, or TCAs, on all commercial aircraft, a system that now acts as a final, life-saving defense against mid-air collisions. Our third story takes us to Japan in 1985. Japan Airlines Flight 123 was a domestic flight from Tokyo to Osaka, packed with 524 passengers and crew, many heading home for the Obon holiday. 12 minutes after takeoff, an explosive sound rocked the cabin. The aircraft's vertical stabilizer was blown off, a result of a faulty repair to the aft pressure bulkhead years earlier. With their hydraulic system severed, the pilots faced an impossible task, controlling a jumbo jet with no rudder, no elevators, and no ailerons. For an agonizing 32 minutes, they fought valiantly, using only engine thrust to steer the crippled plane. Their struggle is a testament to incredible airmanship, but ultimately it was a battle they could not win. The Boeing 747 crashed into the mountains of Gunma Prefecture. Tragically, rescue efforts were delayed due to confusion about the crash site's location and an initial assessment that there were no survivors. In reality, several people survived the initial impact but succumbed to their injuries overnight. The final death toll was 520, making it the deadliest single aircraft disaster in history. The crash exposed critical flaws in aircraft maintenance and emergency response protocols, leading to stricter oversight and improved rescue coordination worldwide. For our fourth case, we turn to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. In 1991, Nigeria Airways Flight 2120 was a charter flight carrying 247 Nigerian pilgrims returning from the Hajj in Mecca, along with 14 crew members. Shortly after takeoff, the crew reported a problem with cabin pressure. Then, smoke began to fill the cockpits. The pilots declared an emergency and attempted to return to the airport, but they were running out of time. Witnesses on the ground saw the plane on fire as it desperately tried to make it back. The fire, which had started in the landing gear assembly due to underinflated tires, quickly spread, consuming the aircraft's fuel tanks and control systems. The plane crashed just short of the runway, tragically killing all 261 people on board. The investigation highlighted a chain of maintenance failures, including the use of nitrogen instead of dry air to inflate tires, which fueled the fire. The disaster led to more rigorous pre-flight checks and stricter regulations regarding aircraft tire maintenance and the materials used in aircraft construction to improve fire resistance. It was a heartbreaking loss of life for those returning from a sacred journey. Finally, we arrive at the single deadliest accident in aviation history, the Tenerife disaster of 1977. On March 27, the Los Rodeos airport in the Canary Islands was unusually congested. A terrorist incident at another airport had diverted numerous large jets, including two Boeing 747s, Pan Am Flight 1736 and KLM Flight 4805. A thick, rolling fog blanketed the airport, reducing visibility to almost zero. The KLM jet, anxious to depart, began its takeoff roll without clearance from air traffic control. The captain, a highly experienced senior pilot, misinterpreted a route clearance as a takeoff clearance. At the same time, the Pan Am jet was still taxiing on the very same runway, trying to find its assigned exit in the dense fog. By the time the two crews saw each other, it was far too late. The KLM jumbo jet, already at takeoff speed, slammed into the top of the Pan Am plane. The resulting explosion and fire were immense. A total of 583 people lost their lives. This catastrophe was a brutal wake-up call for the entire industry. It exposed the dangers of ambiguous communication and the inherent risks of steep cockpit hierarchies where junior crew members felt unable to challenge a captain's decision. The investigation led directly to the development of Crew Resource Management, or CRM. This revolutionary training program flattened the cockpit hierarchy, empowering all crew members to speak up and work as a team. Standardized, unambiguous radio phraseology became mandatory. Today, CRM is a cornerstone of pilot training globally, ensuring that a tragedy born from human error on a foggy runway will never be repeated. From a flawed door latch to a misunderstood command, each of these tragedies stemmed from a different cause. They represent aviation's darkest hours, but from the ashes of these disasters rose a new era of safety. Every flight you take today is safer because of the lessons learned from Turkish Airlines 981, the Charky-Dordry collision, Japan Airlines 123, Nigeria Airways 2120, and the Tenerife disaster. The memory of the thousands of lives lost is honored not just in memorials but in the countless lives saved every single day by the safety systems, protocols, and culture of vigilance that were forged in the wake of these events. Because of their loss, flying today has become the safest mode of long-distance travel in the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this documentary informative, please consider subscribing for more stories from history.